Hi, it's Mark, your Madison Court dork. Friday, I discussed Glera, the main grape behind Prosecco. Today, I'll be introducing you to a style of wine that requires a bit more research than what's on the bottle itself. Port. So why am I doing these videos? Well, the majority of you have probably heard of some of the following varietals: Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Riesling, and Moscato. I, however, would like to introduce you to some grapes that you've probably never heard of. At the beginning of each video, I will remind you of a few things. First and foremost, anyone can learn how to smell and taste wine. Your sensations of smell and taste are determined by the chemicals that are in food and drink. When we say we're smelling oranges or we're tasting toast, we're not making this up. With time, you can train yourself to seek out individual smells and tastes. Just swirl your wine glass, close your eyes, and think about what you're smelling or tasting. This will help you appreciate and analyze wine. I'll keep bringing up several terms that I will define at the beginning of each video. Body is the mouthfeel you have when you taste the wine. It's analogous to milk. If it feels like whole milk, that's a full-bodied wine. If it's like skim milk, it's a light-bodied wine. And if it's like 2% milk, it's a medium-bodied wine. Tannin is the astringency you feel in your mouth that some wines have. It makes your tongue feel like it's sticking to your teeth or to the roof of your mouth. Acidity is how watery your mouth feels after swallowing. The more watery, the higher the acidity. Okay, so on to port. Port is a fortified wine from Portugal that typically adds brandy to the blend to stop the fermentation process and leave a lot of residual sugar in the wine. Other distilled spirits also are used. There are over 50 grapes that can be used in the blend, but the most common ones are Touriga Franca, Touriga Nacional, Tinto Barroca, Tinto Roriers, which the Spaniards call Tempranillo, Tinto Cao, Rabigato, and Viosinho. There are plenty of different styles of port, like red, white, rosé, and tawny. Every style has its own unique tastes. So the most challenging part of port is interpreting the label. I'll go over the most common types that you will run across in wine stores. Tawny port is a barrel-aged port that typically gets better with age. They can range from dry to sweet. Vintage port actually has vintage dates on the bottle itself. Whenever you find a vintage date on a bottle of port, it means that the grapes were harvested during a particularly good year. Expect to pay more for a bottle as a result. Late bottle vintage port, or LBV port, is a ready-to-drink single varietal port. Ruby port is sweeter than tawny port. The former is more fruitier, whereas the latter is nuttier. This is an important distinction because most people will try to decide which one they want to try between the two of them. Rosé port is a port made in the rosé style. The level of sweetness will be determined by the grapes that are used, but chances are it'll be on the drier side. White port is strictly made from white grapes, and it is typically off-dry. Traditional port is made in lagers, where people actually stomp on the grapes with their feet. Yes, that is still being practiced. While I'm not certain of the method people use to clean their feet and legs, I'm confident that any potential germs are killed during the fortification and aging process. A lot of times people use port for baking and cooking purposes. You can use it in making chocolate cakes, making chocolate sauce, or making a reduction sauce out of it. It is also a flavorful alternative to maple syrup and brown sugar. Ruby port is used most out of all the other styles of port when it comes to cooking and baking. Another fun fact is that port can last up to 28 days after opening. Again, this is due to the fortification process. So what can you expect from port? Well, it's a full-bodied wine. It is very tannic and has a medium-high level of acidity. Because port is a fortified wine, it has at least 18% alcohol by volume, sometimes much more higher than that. Port is meant to be drunk in a dessert wine glass, should you have one, which is smaller than your typical standard wine glass. The wine is to be served between 55 to 60 degrees, also known as cellar temperature. Should you have the patience, tawny port can be stored for 50 or more years, or a vintage port could be stored for that long as well. Otherwise, most of them are meant to be drunk young. You can spend around $35, which is very expensive, but it is worth the investment. So what are some of the smells and tastes you can expect from port? Again, this depends on the type of port that's being made. Generally speaking, though, black plum, dried cherry, chocolate, raisin, and cinnamon. Pair it with chocolates or Stilton cheese for a fantastic experience. So if you're looking for a fun dessert wine to bring to a party, give port a try. Anyway, this is Mark, your Madison Cork Dork. Join me Thursday while I discuss a grape that's used in the making of cava. Thanks for watching.